Greetings petrolheads, welcome back to Automation the Car Company Tycoon game. It looks like yesterday the Cheetah won, and today we're gonna have another head-to-head between the Sparrow, which was sent in by Summit, and the Stryker 88 GT sent in by Sergeant Snoopy. Conveniently enough, they're really close in alphabetic order to be compared directly here, but obviously we're gonna take a closer look at them. So the Sparrow, I kind of like this general kind of simplistic design. The body is very like the body is very 80s-esque, and with the huge rear window. Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm trying to, I can't remember what specific car this reminds me of, but like, yeah, sure, a Porsche 944 or something like that had a similar like tail end in the way that the body was shaped and with the huge rear windshield. But anyway, we got a steel monocoque, aluminum panels, we got a 5-speed manual, double wishbones all around, 239 horsepower from a 3.2 liter turbocharged straight 6. So let's check that out. Well, it's actually a pretty nice torque curve. It's full cast iron. We have dual overhead cams with 4 valves per cylinder. We have forged steel crank, forged H-beam conrods, forged pistons, 25 cam profile, so really low cam profile to improve like the low RPM performance, which is good for cruising and everything, and that's important for a GT car, so that's good. A small turbine, reasonably sized compressor, lots of AR ratio, and 0.57 bars of boost. Multi-point EFI with signal configuration, performance intake, running on premium gas, 13.1 to 1 fuel mixture. Now that's relatively rich, so this engine is not going to be super economical despite being turbocharged. High flow freeway cat, large exhaust diameter, like really big, and 2 reverse flow mufflers actually. 239 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque. Now that torque number is pretty good, and you can also see that it's a nice torque curve. Like, you get 90% of that from like 2000 RPM to a little bit over 4000 RPM, and that's exactly what you're looking for in an engine like this. Now let's check out some more stuff about this geared limited slip diff. We already know that it's got a 5-speed manual. We got 225s all around, medium compound road tires sitting on 15-inch magnesium rims. Now that's interesting. I mean, it works, seemingly. 245s as far as brakes go up front, and 195s on the rear. Wow, really tiny brake discs. Can't really see them anyway behind these rims, especially the rear ones. Like, yeah, at an angle like this you can see them between the spokes, but if you look at the car straight on, you can't really see the brakes here. Very little of them anyway. On the front it's a little bit better, but still, you know. 3 piston vented discs up front, 2 piston vented discs on the rear. No under tray. A decent amount of downforce actually. Does this thing have... Yeah, it's got a front lip, and it's got a little wing on the rear, and it's got a lot of cooling airflow, so that's one of the reasons why it's not gonna have brake fade, despite having such small brake discs. Excuse me. So 4 seats, luxury interior and entertainment, power steering, ABS, advanced safety. Why do I keep getting messages after going offline on Steam? Why do they still pop up? I don't know. In any case, air springs, adaptive dampers, and let's see. 44.5 drivability, 39.4 sportiness, 47.9 comfort, which is really good, 42.9 prestige, and let's see. This thing costs $33,150, so it's on the more on the upper side, more on the higher price range of the cars we've seen so far. But you know, it's got some pretty solid stats, and it's doing well in the GT segment as well. So it can hold its own, is what I'm getting at. And if your product is good, you can justify a slightly higher than average price. So quarter mile is gonna take 14:43. So that's not the fastest, it's also not the slowest, though. It's somewhere in the middle. So good enough performance, definitely. 5.8 seconds, 0 to 100. It's good. And running costs 3,500. That's on the upper end, though, and that is mainly because this thing is not particularly economical. I know that you don't buy a GT car in order to be economical, but since these are like budget GT cars, that's the whole point of this challenge. You know, a Porsche 944 would use like around 10 liters per 100 kilometers. The turbo, despite being more powerful, maybe even a little bit less. Between 10 and 11 liters, I guess, somewhere around that. And this is a little bit above that. But we've seen cars in this competition that would use quite a bit less. And apparently, like, I don't know, we've had cars that use more fuel but would cost less to own. Probably because this has air suspension, which is kind of a little bit more expensive to maintain than a progressive spring setup. And also because this has like dual overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder, which is a pretty expensive to maintain valve train. And all those little things add up. So let's now check out the Stryker 88 GT. Overall, I like the Sparrow, I have to say. I mean, I think it's a well-built car. Maybe a little bit expensive to maintain, but other than that, it's pretty good. So the Stryker, corrosion-resistant steel monocoque, partial aluminum panels, 5-speed manual, the wishbones all around, like pretty much every or almost every car in this competition. And then 226 horsepower from a 4.3 liter naturally aspirated V8. Okay, so we have a cast iron engine, both on the block and head material. 4 valves per cylinder, dual overhead cams. Forged steel crank, I-beam steel converts, forged pistons. And then very low cam profile, but with more quality to increase the top range power a little bit. And it's an interesting approach. Like you could save costs if you just up the cam profile a little bit rather than the quality. But this way you have the advantage that you can keep the low range torque that you get from a low cam profile. But you also gain more high RPM power from increasing the quality, and you reduce valve float as well. The downside again is that it costs a lot more to do this than just upping the cam profile, but the upside again is that you have more low range torque and a little bit better economy as well, because you know, better valves, better economy. Multi-point injection, twin configuration, performance intake. 15:1 fuel mixture, so this is all the way leaned out. 6,000 RPM rev limit, +7 quality. Long tubular headers, high flow freeway cat, 2 baffled mufflers. I don't know, I don't think baffled mufflers are the best choice for this kind of build. Reverse flow would just give you more comfort because they're quieter. Let's see. Five-speed manual geared, limited slip diff. 225s up front, 235s on the rear, medium compound road tires, 15-inch alloy rims. Vented discs all around, 2 pistons up front, 1 piston in the rear, 2 50s up front, 2 25s on the back. Very aggressive front pad type and very comfortable rear pad type. And some quality in here as well. Do we have more quality points somewhere? Yeah, +2 quality in the gearbox, which definitely makes a lot of sense on a car like this. Or on a lot of cars anyway, if we're not talking about like cheap eco cars. Semi-clad under tray, and we do have a lip up front and a little wing on the rear, so very similar setup to the Sparrow actually. And then we have luxury interior, luxury cassette, power steering, ABS, advanced safety, and air suspension. Now the drivability of 61 is really good. So is the sportiness of 40.1. So those two stats combined are like some of the highest we've seen so far. And then comfort 44 is somewhere in the middle of entry so far. Prestige is on the lower side at 38.5. And prestige is one of the reasons you buy a car like this. Because it's desirable. And but apart from that, like, I can't say too many negative things so far. Let's look at the price. Okay, so it's right on the edge, $34,950. Again, the price limit was $35,000, so it's $50 below that limit. It does even slightly better than the Sparrow in the GT segment of the market. And it costs almost $500 less to run. And let's check out the performance too. $14.32 quarter mile, 5.7 seconds 0 to 100, 243 kilometers an hour top speed. So it's quicker 0 to 100, it's quicker over the quarter mile, and it's gonna have a top speed. Everything despite making less power than a Sparrow. It's also more drivable, more sporty, and cheaper to run. But on the other hand, the Sparrow is more comfortable, more prestigious, and a little bit cheaper to buy. Which one of these two is best? I think my vote would go to the Stryker, to be honest, but let's find out what you guys think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another one. Goodbye.